Hello and welcome to a new episode of Travels Tête-à-Tête. Today, she has done hitchhiking from Belgrade to Malaga. She has created a clothing brand for yoga and pole dancing practitioners. She just arrived in Valencia while on a quest to heal her body and her mind. Today, I speak with Tamara. We had a lot of things to say about the kindness of strangers, focusing on your genius zone and the importance of saying no. Enjoy! Welcome to a new episode of Travels Tête-à-Tête. Today I'm meeting Tamara from Serbia in a coffee in Valencia. It's the first time in this coffee. It's called Ubik. So welcome, Tamara.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me.
Tamara, what can you tell us about yourself? Can you introduce yourself to the audience?
I have to figure out how to hold the mic.
Yeah.
I'm 28 years old. I'm Canadian born to Serbian parents, and I love traveling and I love dancing. There are so many things that I'm interested in, and there is this one expression that I like to use, like I'm multi-passionate and like multi-oriented in like so many different directions. But at this time in my life, I'm mostly focused on my inner work, on healing. As you know, we've talked about that, and there has been a real turnover in my life a few years ago. I was doing different things, studying software engineering, then starting my own business that had to do with dancing. And then I had some health issues, and this is where things turned around for me. So this is where my healing journey started, and a lot of self-discovery, which also had to do a lot with traveling. That helped me a lot to really get to know myself and learn about who I am and what I really like.
Can you tell us why Valencia? What attracted you to this place? Did you know something about it before, or did you always wanted to discover this city?
6 or 7 years ago, I came to Spain when I was hitchhiking around Europe with my ex-boyfriend, and we went for a very long trip for like almost 4 months and across, I think it was like 9 countries or so, from Belgrade to, well, the initial idea was Barcelona, but then we came all the way to Malaga, and this is where I first, saw Spain and saw how it is here, and just went through a few cities. And then right now, in March, so we're now making this podcast in April, and in March I quit my job, and I was thinking like, oh my God, like what should I do? Should I stay in Belgrade, where I was where I am based? But I don't really like Belgrade, and I've been there for a long time, and I don't want to be there anymore. And then I was thinking like, okay, what should I do with my last salary? Should I go somewhere? Should I stay here? And this is how Valencia came into the, story. Essentially, I was looking for a place that is not too big. I don't like big cities. So Barcelona, Madrid, they're too big. And then I was thinking like, what is the city that is a coastal town? So you have the beach, you have the mountains near. That is very important to me, to have like the nature and to have enough of the diversity when it comes to nature. And then also I was looking for a city that is flat. So you can walk and ride a bike. And Belgrade, opposed to that, and Serbia is very hilly. So I don't really enjoy hills so much because like I get tired, and like I love walking around and exploring. One more thing was I wanted to meet expats. So I wanted a city that is rich in like multicultural and a lot of international people, from everywhere. So these were some of the main things. And of course it's sunny and warm.
Yeah, it's flat, it's warm, it's very popular with the digital nomads, it's true. And also it's very windy. Have you noticed how windy it is?
Oh my God, wind is killing me these days, but I'm hoping that it's gonna stop. The locals are saying that it's gonna stop soon, so hopefully it will.
Since this podcast is dedicated to travel, maybe you could tell us more about this hitchhiking experience. What were the main highlights?
So 7 years ago, I went with my ex-boyfriend to that trip. We just had this crazy idea to do that. We both loved traveling, and it was just like let's do it. Why not? He was an experienced hitchhiker. I trusted him a lot. And I was just like, okay, I want to try this. It was one of the things that I wanted to try anyway. And that's when we started. And honestly, that experience, because we've been on the road for like 4 months, it really gave me a lot of confidence. We met so many different people. We've experienced so many different things that showed me that the world is a safe place and it can be safe depending on obviously your attitude and how you view the world around yourself. You know, there is this expression in Serbian and probably in English as well, like the kind of energy that you exude is the kind of energy that you will attract. Okay. And this is something that I've found to be true in my life and on this trip especially. And I love hitchhiking for that very reason, that you have to use your intuition and you have to be fast. So there are no second thoughts when it comes to hitchhiking. And a lot of people usually ask like, oh my God, is it dangerous? Is it, like, how do you say yes to everyone who stops? No, you don't say yes to everyone who stops. And this is where you really have to learn how to say no, how to have boundaries, how to be confident in yourself and your own decisions. And this is something that I lacked prior to this experience. And for me, I mean, I'm just like that no matter what I do, I try to seek these deeper lessons and to understand myself through what's happening to me and around me. So this experience really shaped me into the person that I am today. And it has affected a lot everything that I've done after that trip. So eventually my ex-boyfriend and I broke up. And then I went back to university. I quit university in my third year. And then after that, there were a lot of different things that I've tried, like business-wise and a lot of different life experiences. And at some point, I really felt such an urge to go back to hitchhiking, but this time alone. And this is when I started doing this in the Balkans. So that was like the first, obviously, there were like small trips that I made by myself at first, like from one city to another, from Belgrade to Novi Sad, for example, which is like 100 kilometers. Not a big deal. I used to live in that city, so I would many times, like I would go on that route. And then I started, there was hitchhiking meetup. They organize this every year in Europe in different places. So that year it was in Serbia in a very, very, very small village. Like nobody knows about it. And this is the thing, like they find these places that nobody knows about. And it's always like an adventure even to get to there. It's very difficult to get to there. And this is how I decided to go, okay, now this is going to be my big trip by myself. So I went there for a few days. We camped. It was amazing. And then after that, I think I got this confidence and courage to do this on my own as a way of traveling. Sorry. Then I did a lot of trips. I went to Montenegro, from Serbia to Montenegro, because Montenegro has the beach and the sea, and this is something that I can't live without. So I did go a few times from Belgrade to the coast, and that takes usually about a day or two.
From Belgrade
to the coast. Yes, okay. Yes, you've been there? It's very nice. But I prefer to go when it's not the high season, because in high season, it's like here, like in Spain. Too many tourists, too many people. I usually went when it wasn't the high season. So it was really nice. It was incredible. And these are some of the trips that I cherish the most, because one of these trips I made completely without any money. Like any, literally, no, zero. I had maybe €3. I had €3 because I wanted to challenge myself and to really see. Honestly, I didn't have money at that point, so it was like, that was past my hippie era, which I had for a while, like maybe when we were in Spain, like 7 years ago. But this was a few years ago when I was really in a place after these health issues that I had. Essentially, I had a breakdown. For a while, I didn't have any job. It was really tricky, to learn to allow life to show you that you are safe even when you don't have money or like an accommodation or a home, or you don't know what's your next meal going to be or when is it going to be. Mm-hmm. All your fears, existential fears first and foremost, come up in those moments, and it's extremely challenging to stay calm, to stay regulated, mm-hmm. and to not go like into crazy anxiety and panic.
You don't want to let the anxiety run your life.
Exactly. And we all get fearful when, for example, we lose a job or something unexpected happens. But then when these things change your life in a matter of a few weeks, so drastically that like I've been on the path of like going upwards. It was all, I thought I had it all and it looked like that. And then just at one point, my body literally broke down, and my mental health as well. And it all turned around like 180 in a matter of a few weeks. Mm. And it was extremely scary. I didn't know what was happening. Then COVID hit. And there were so many events that were happening one after another that I feel like I didn't choose this. It was just something that, was happening out of my control, and I had to find ways to adapt because there was no other option. So when people ask me is this path that you're on right now something that you choose, something that you wanted for yourself? No, I never thought I would be here. I never thought my life would look like this, but it's something that just naturally evolved from the experiences that were coming seemingly out of nowhere and like just happening one after the other. Back to the traveling point, I went off topic right now a bit, but it's connected to the traveling point because when I decided to go without money. So for a while, I've been without money in Belgrade. I set this ad on Facebook and Instagram and social media where I was offering my services, meaning I would say like, I can help you with babysitting, pet sitting, house sitting. I could be your emotional support. I love talking to people and listening to people. And I could be, I could teach you dance, like all types of dancing that I do, pole dancing as well. And then there were many things that I said, like, listen, I could do this, but I cannot use my brain anymore. These services that I'm offering, they're experiential. And this is how I lived. I basically lived off of donations because I wasn't charging money. I was just like open to people giving me donations for my work. And this is how I lived like the whole of 2021. Okay. Then that trip was like the highlight because I was like, oh my God, now this has become my comfort zone, being in my city, doing this volunteer work. Obviously, I can live like this. But what happens if I leave this comfort zone and if I have to be on my own and I have no money? So that was so interesting because you wouldn't believe it. It was as if I were in a movie. Mm-hmm. And I was actually making like the stories and short videos on Instagram at that time, and a lot of people were following. I was recording my whole trip, and you would not believe how incredibly just different people in different situations showed up to support me. Mm-hmm. Like the first day, I was hitchhiking the whole day down to the coast, and the night fell around 8 p.m. So I was stuck in the middle of the road in some village in Montenegro. I have no idea where exactly was that. And I was like, wow, I was at this roundabout and it's completely dark. And I'm like, it's not really a great feeling to be there by yourself. But I'm like, okay, the worst thing that can happen is like I have to spend the night somewhere near the road, and I don't know, I'll just wait until the morning. It's not like the first time that would be. Then this black huge car. I'm not into cars, so I have no idea what car was that, but it was like big black SUV stops, pulls over, and there's this like guy inside opening his window, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm hitchhiking. Like, I'm going to the sea." And he's like, "Are you crazy?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just stuck here." And he's like, "Please get in. I'm a police officer, but I'm not on duty right now. So like, please come in and I'll take you to the nearest town." So I go into that car. It turns out, yeah, he's actually not just a police officer. He's like the main guy in that area. And he actually, he rented a bungalow for me that evening. And I got like a premium apartment to stay in for that evening. We had the dinner, and like I always have to say this. It's not like he was flirting with me or anything in that sense. It was just a beautiful gesture from somebody who wanted to do something nice for somebody else.
He felt like a responsibility. He felt like life has put you on his way, and he felt a responsibility to take care of you.
I would describe that probably as that. And I feel that these experiences that are so real, so raw, and so honest, they trigger something beautiful in people. And they really genuinely want to help you. And they go above and beyond to help you in these situations. And I do have to also say, this was one of my practices. Like, I never wanted to come across as desperate, or I didn't allow myself, even though I would be scared at times, to come across as somebody who is afraid or in desperate need of help. So it would be like, I can't take care of myself. This was my choice. This was my conscious choice. I made this choice as an adult, so I didn't have to do this. But this is something that I really wanted to put myself through and see how I'm going to deal with it. So it's my own personal spiritual practice in a way. And this is why it was so important to me to let things, play out in a natural way, and to see what's going to happen without really manipulating or trying to influence that situation in any way. And this is something great because I call it my previous life, not a previous life, but before the breakdown, I did use a lot of these manipulative techniques on people that you learn in like the corporate world, like negotiation. They call it all the fancy words now, or the marketing. I was into digital marketing a lot, and I was really good at that. And so I'm really skilled at psychology and understanding people's behavior, and like I can really deeply influence people if I want to. And made a vow to myself not to use any of those techniques, not to push anything, not to, require anything, to literally be like content with whatever comes up. Mm-hmm. And my main thing was just to stay calm and regulated. Mm-hmm. So that was amazing. I mean, I think that was like the breakthrough that made all the difference in the inner work and that spiritual journey and healing journey that I had later on, because it showed me that even in the midst of chaos and panic, I could hold my center. Yeah. And this is extremely important, and it's so useful, especially now when I'm traveling. And a few days ago when you and I met, I told you I had this first experience here that was not the greatest in Valencia.
With
and
the Couchsurfing, right?
Yes. Yeah. But all these situations now, they seem minor. And I mean, of course, I am affected by the things that are happening. It's not like I'm not feeling anything or that I'm detached. Mm-hmm. It's not that. It's just that I can be present with what's going on and choose consciously what I want to do. Whereas before, I would fall into whatever was happening around me, and the energies that were present, if they were crazy and chaotic, I would turn crazy and chaotic and go into this spiral and this panic and anxiety and, whole lot of things.
Yeah, fascinating. Before we go to this breakdown and also your business career, because I think it was linked together, right? The breakdown and the business career. I wanted to go back just quickly to the hitchhiking stuff, because this is something which is less and less common. I mean, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, in our parent generation, I guess it was very popular. Nowadays, I'm not so sure, because we have so much transport ways, right? We even have a BlaBlaCar. Everybody uses BlaBlaCar, and they are more than happy to spend €5 and jump in a car, and it's super easy. But it's a real community, right? Hitchhiking. And I was wondering if you have some tips for hitchhikers around Europe, if you had the same experience in some other countries, or if it was more something from the Balkans.
Honestly, I'm glad that I can answer positively to this question. And it was the same experience wherever I went. And that comes back to that thing where I said, like, it depends on who you are and how you behave and what you believe in. And honestly, I don't know how this came about. Maybe because of my parents, I don't know. But I believe that the world is a safe place. I mean, for at least the people who are like in this middle class that I grew up, who have like basic infrastructure in their life, I think for most of us, especially living in Europe, it's pretty safe. Now, of course, I haven't explored parts of the world that are like Middle East or Asia, or I don't know, maybe some other countries where it might be different. But in Europe, I've been to many places. I've never ever had like a really bad experience or something that was dangerous. I did have people give me money, give me food, give me accommodation, shelter, offer me a shower, I don't know, like so many beautiful gestures that I sometimes felt, or for example, they would just go into a different direction. If they were, the drivers, they would go like 40, 50 kilometers in a different direction just to leave me where I needed to go. So there were these things that I sometimes felt like even the people who are close to me, like my friends or even family, sometimes wouldn't do for me. And these people would just go out of their way to help you out. Yeah. So, I think every single country where I went, it was... there was something. I had beautiful experiences in Germany. I loved Germany, and I spent like a month there, or we spent a month there when I was with that ex-boyfriend. Mostly people would offer us accommodation. We would meet them in a park, and then we start a conversation, and then they invite us to stay with them. And we've made some incredible friendships from that. And even later on, like we got invited to, I don't know, graduation, or this one couple got a baby. We went for their birthdays and stuff like that. And like we stayed in contact with these people because we really made deep connections with people. And this is what I would say. I would even go as far to say that my life is about creating deep and meaningful connections with people. I really don't like small talk. I really hate just being like, oh, hey, what are you doing? How old are you? What do you do for a living and stuff like that? I like to talk, but I also like to listen to people. And I feel like nowadays it's a skill that so many people don't have. We're not being taught how to listen, how to ask questions, how to be inquisitive and curious, but genuinely, curious about someone and their experience. And even if it's different from ours, I feel like I can learn so much from other people and from just hearing about how they view themselves and the world around them. So I don't know, it could be just me, but even as a child, I've been extremely observant. So whenever I travel, this is such an enriching experience for me, to be in a different place, to feel the culture, to talk to people, to see how they live.
At some point in the hitchhiking, when you were speaking about the hitchhiking, you said that it gave you the power to say no. And I remember from your very varied CV that you have been doing a lot of things. You have studied in IT engineering, right? You have been into ball dancing. You have created a business about it. So, were you good to say no before to start hitchhiking, or was it because you couldn't say no that you did so much of things before?
The part about saying no is a topic on its own. So first I'm going to answer this about the career and education. So my story is sort of chaotic, and even in my head, I'm sorry I don't remember dates and years very well. This is when I go to an interview and they ask me, like, what have you done in your life? And I'm like, there is a pause. Like, can I look at my CV and then tell you? Okay, so essentially, I was studying software engineering. Then in my second year, in my first year, I met this boyfriend of mine. We had this idea to travel. I paused my studies. We went on this trip. After that, I was convinced that I would go back to studying. And honestly, when I chose software engineering, I really liked it. I love computers. I love technology. It's not like random thing, or I didn't go into it just because it's good money. I really thought that would be something that I'm interested in. But like when you're a kid or when you're a teenager or 18 even, like you don't really know anything about life to be able to make or some people do, of course, but I would say that the majority of us is a bit confused about who we really are or what we really want, because honestly, there are so many things that we, haven't tried. So you don't even know if you're good at it or you like it or not. And then when I came back after traveling, I was just like, wow, I have so much more to offer and to explore and to see and to do in this lifetime than, just be a programmer. And what's more, at the time when I started studying, I also started pole dancing. And pole dancing really changed my life completely. When I came back from the hitchhiking journey, I figured that I cannot stay still for 8 hours in front of a computer. And my body was not made to sit still for such a long time, and my brain was not made to function and think so much. It's impossible. I cannot sit. I literally cannot sit. That was the thing. I would go into these classes, and I would fall asleep, or I would just fidget in my seat, and I could not sit still. And this is where I realized, wow, I've changed on such a deep level and grew into this new version of myself. And I'm really not the same as I was 3 to 4 years ago. I had to make a decision. I realized if anything in my life, I don't like to waste time. And if something is not working, I don't push it too far. I will try, I will do my best. I will try different ways, different things, different options. But if it's still not working, if I'm suffering in something. So there is a difference between something being difficult, something being, strenuous, or, you have to put a lot of effort in it, but it gives you energy at the end of the day, or it gives you life and that spark and that joy, and something that makes you fucking miserable. Sorry. I don't know if I can swear here, but something that makes you completely miserable at the end of the day. And I figured I am miserable in just pursuing this degree. I don't want this. It's not worth it. So I quit. And of course, my parents went crazy. Everybody was like, you're crazy. This is your third year. You have one more year to go. Why would you do that? And I'm like, it's not my path. It's not my path. I'm not going there. I quit that, And I was thinking, okay, I know that definitely I have high expectations of myself. I want a lifestyle that is above average, way above average. And I was thinking, okay, then what is another thing that I want to do that would allow me to do everything that I like, that I enjoy doing, and that I could actually earn money from? And something that is, that you can scale to, there is no cap on it. Like, you can grow as much as you want in it. This is a very important thing for me, to be able to grow without a limitation. Like, if you're in a company, there is a certain limit to your growth depending on how big the company is or what they can offer to you. But if you have a business of your own, and again, depending on the industry and niche you're in and the type of business you're doing, there is no limit to your growth. So for me, these were the things that I had to, put into this winning combination. And for me, it was a clothing line, a clothing brand for pole dancing and yoga. The reason for it was because I was thinking, if I made this clothing brand, I could travel the world promoting this, going from one studio to another, learning from the best teachers in the world, and earning money while doing so. And so it would combine the passions that I had for running a business, for creating something that there was a real need for, because pole dancing was a fairly new branch of sport at that time. And it was still like, it's even still right now, it's still emerging. And there are so many things you could do. And this is where all my creativity and my entrepreneurial spirit really had a huge playground to put my focus and my ideas into. And the thing with that was, I again didn't know how to say no to many opportunities that were arising. Because once I started doing it, it started growing very quickly. In my head, it was just like, let's try. I don't have anything to lose at this point. At that time, I was working as an English teacher, as an online English teacher. This is how I made the money and raised the money to invest into my business. It was around maybe 5,000 euros. So it wasn't like a lot, but it was enough to start. And it grew in the first 6 months so quickly, and grew into different branches of this work, because a lot of people started noticing. I was very vocal about what I was doing on social media and in my life, and I attract a lot of attention naturally, I would say. Like, people like to be in my, vicinity, and like my energy, and this is how, like, from the word of mouth, it got spread very quickly around the community, and also internationally. I started getting calls to do these events where I would perform or organize other dancers to perform, not necessarily just pole dancing, but different types of dances. And I love organization and event management. And there was, again, I'm throwing a lot of things right now in, but there was this big festival that I organized. It was like from the scratch, my own idea. It was the first pole dancing and aerial festival in the Balkans. And this is what really opened a lot of doors for me, because we had like a national coverage on TV and in the newspaper, and it was beautiful. It was amazing. But can you imagine, like, that was a whole other project going into event management, which I had, I knew nothing about that.
Yeah,
so
you were improvising, you were on the go, winging it.
I was learning so much. Like, this is the problem. This is where it's like my problems with health start, because I was sleeping maybe 3 to 4 hours a day. I was eating something at some point, but I didn't care. Like, I had no awareness of my body, because I was so passionate. Like, I was hyper focused on the things that I wanted to achieve. And this is how, now again, I don't want to stray off into another topic, but this is where the whole trauma and stuff around like subconscious beliefs come into the story, where I was just operating from a completely unconscious part of myself that wanted to prove a lot of things, first and foremost to my parents and then to myself. And I was like, my motives behind the whole thing were very toxic to myself, first and foremost. And I would go to extreme lengths and to not to hurt anyone or do anything bad to anybody that I was working with or presenting my things to. But then it would all come back to me, and it was extremely destructive for my own health and my own well-being, the way I was doing things. So back to the story. So clothing line, event management. I opened also a showroom in the center of Belgrade, and I was just like renting this place that was way too expensive for what I could afford. But I also, in order to cover the expenses, I started organizing like mini events, like essentially a holistic center that offered different courses like yoga, meditation, Reiki, stuff like that there. But I was already like so deep into like complete shit and chaos. And even though it was working, it was completely without any structure. There were many mistakes that I made. The thing is, I learned a lot, but it also cost me my health, my sanity, and essentially I had this nervous breakdown at the end of 2019. And then afterwards, COVID hit, and I quit everything.
When COVID struck, you were actually one of the few people who were actually happy for this break, to have the opportunity to get back to yourself. You didn't even miss traveling.
No, not at all. I was so grateful, and I mean, at that time, I felt embarrassed to say how much I enjoyed the quarantine and the whole 2020. It was, I honestly was praying to God to be like, give me, like, make the world stop, because I felt like my head, my everything was spinning at such a I don't know, it was crazy experience that I had. I literally felt like the momentum was so strong, I couldn't stop. Like I couldn't, even when I said I'm quitting, I was still getting so many calls, and people didn't even realize that I quit, and like it took time for it to bring it down to a halt. And I was so exhausted at the time. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to show up for anything, and like I was in a very, very bad place. So yeah, when COVID hit, I was like, oh my God, thank you. This is exactly what I needed. I don't have to explain. I don't have to talk to anyone. I don't have to call anyone. I don't have to answer my phone. I don't have to exist, essentially. So like I was just like in my room. And at that time, it turned out that because I went back to my parents' place, it turned out that our next door neighbor, had a studio inside of her home. She was doing Pilates, but for some reason she wanted to try pole dancing, and then for some reason she bought 2 poles. And then she had like a full-on studio at her home. She's like 20 seconds away from us. And I don't know even how I came about to ask her if maybe she has the studio, because I knew she did Pilates, and I was thinking like maybe she has a studio with like the mirrors where I could just go and move, because movement for me was so healing even before this whole thing. This is why pole dancing was so attractive to me, because I found out about the parts of myself that I never had the opportunity to explore otherwise. So I was just like, okay, let's ask her. And she said like, I have 2 poles and a studio and a mirror, and like you can come whenever you want. So the 2020, like I spent essentially crying and dancing. These are my 2 main activities. So I was deep into my healing. Everything changed from my lifestyle, diet, habits, essentially relearning how to live. And I'm not joking, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that, because I had to go back to things like breathing. And everybody who's ever tried breath work and stuff like that, or meditation, knows how it's incredible how unaware we are of ourselves and of the things that we just, normally do every day. We don't think about them. But there are ways that could be improved in like at a major scale, and that improves the quality of our life so much. So these are the things that are so hard to change. They're incredibly hard to change because you have to put so much conscious effort into relearning and unlearning. And that was my 2020. So COVID was great. I wasn't traveling. I was so happy to be at home. And that was really like a full-on break in my life. And it was amazing. It was great.
Yeah, it's interesting how you said that at some point you said that movement is healing. Like you were probably dancing as well, dancing, but also dancing because I think that you're doing salsa. But at some point, you need as well to stop and to think, and basically to take the time to think about what you like and what you love and what you want to do of the next years in your life. Yeah. You are attacking now a new phase in your life. How long are you going to? Do you see yourself in Spain? And is there any more travel coming up?
I do want to just say that phase after, with that COVID and that dancing in that neighbor's studio, did start a whole new era of my life. And this has to do with the present moment in my life, which is somatic approach in healing, meaning somatic experiencing is a modality that involves the body and the therapeutic process of like processing your emotions through the body. So if you're, for example, if you're feeling angry or if you're feeling scared, what is the physical reaction to that? What would you do? It has to do with how animals in nature react to the threat and to trauma. For example, if the lion is chasing a zebra and she manages to escape, the zebra will start shaking like crazy, shaking, to shake off that stress, the survival stress that she just endured. And then after that shaking thing that may last for like 10 minutes, she's fine. Her nervous system is regulated, and the zebra just keeps on doing whatever she was doing before. This is the same in humans because we forgot our nature. We forgot that first and foremost we are animals and then everything else. And there is this Peter Levine, who actually is the founder of the somatic experiencing approach, who studied this in depth and explains in such great way of how our bodies work and how we store survival stress from every single thing in our life that was scary, that was overwhelming, that we didn't have the capacity or the tools to face at the time that it was happening, usually in our childhood. But even if you learn or not learn these right ways of dealing with things when you were a child, you will continue to do that even as an adult, and you will be unaware of it. You will think that how you live your life is normal and how you deal with stress and your emotions is normal. But for most of us, it's not. And this is what they don't teach us at school. And we're so disconnected from our bodies that we can't even, feel when we're tired, when we need a break, or we think, for example, that we can only take a break when we are already so exhausted that we can't, do anything else apart from, fall into bed and sleep. So these are all the things that we've been programmed since childhood to do.
We are programmed to, since childhood, with university, school, work. We are basically programmed to consume or to produce. This is the only two functions we are supposed, in a Western society, let's say, we are supposed to accomplish, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, again, this is another topic that I could, again, go into talking about for hours. But the whole COVID thing and my dancing led me into this different direction of therapeutic dance and movement. And this is now the thing that I'm so deeply interested in, and not just movement, but the whole trauma-informed approach, and in education, in essentially everything, because I feel that, you know, the world as we know it is about to change and is already changing, and the systems that we have in place right now, they won't be here in like 20 to 30 years from now. And I feel that if we think to grow and evolve and survive as a collective and as a species, we do have to learn more healthy ways of dealing first and foremost with our emotions. And so I went into that whole direction of feelings, of movement, of trauma, of just conditioning or deconditioning process so deeply, and the healing itself. So this is something that I'm now very much interested in. I don't see myself as a therapist, but I would like to get certified as a trauma-informed practitioner, because I would like to eventually go into the industry to, again, maybe organize events or be a consultant or a coordinator, program coordinator. These are the roles that I found when I was doing my business that really, really suit me the best. So I need to choose the industry that I like, but I also have to pick a role that really suits me, and not everything is for me. And this was one of the most valuable things that I got to learn through doing my own business, because I had to do so many things by myself. And it's both a blessing and a curse. Like when you're skilled at so many things that you can do so much of it on your own, then you think
to do everything, and you want to do everything.
You want to do everything. You don't know how to delegate, and you don't know who you are after all. Like, you're not sure what is your zone of genius. And now this whole time, like the last 4 years and that period when I was doing my own business, it gave me such clarity on who I am and where am I the best, and what are the things that I need to delegate and that I need help with, even though I could do them myself, but there are people who can do them better than me. Yes. And so yeah, this is now my idea of getting certified in, like I said, to become a trauma-informed practitioner, go into the trauma-informed care or education industry. Dancing is still a big part of my life, but I also got clarity on that. It's not something that I see as my career, even though I would like to do it on a professional level, not necessarily to compete. It's something that will, I think, stay in that lane. Of course, I cannot guarantee anything about my life, because even the things that I am talking about now, I never thought they would be like this.
And so how much Valencia is going to play a part in this new phase? Are you going to do all of it from here, or you think you're going to move, or is it still fuzzy about the location?
So Valencia is just a transitional moment right now in my life. I'll be here for 3 months until July. Because of the Schengen zone, I cannot stay longer. So neither my Serbian or Canadian passport work in the Schengen zone. So I'll be here just for 3 months. Tomorrow, I'm going to my first dance class here in Valencia. Specifically, I am looking for heels classes, which is, I would say it's closest to pole dancing without a pole. And I'm not doing pole dancing right now or for the past 3 years, because once I stopped with everything, I was in so much pain and physical pain, and then I had to go through physical recovery and rehabilitation. So right now I don't have that strength that I had before. I cannot go back into pole dancing just like that. But maybe in a few years from now. But for now, I want to go into this heels thing, which is dancing in heels, and it's like sensual, sexy, feminine style. So it's not a partner dance. It's just for yourself, and you make these choreographies, and it's like in those music videos that they do. And yeah, so Valencia is just gonna be here for like 3 months, and then we'll see after that, because I feel this whole time in my life right now, it's just a transition. Right now I'm looking for a high-paying job online that I could do part-time, so I can actually afford to get certified as a trauma-informed practitioner and invest in my further dancing classes and skills and things. So yeah, I feel like this is all just a transition, and probably for the next 2, 3, maybe even 5 years, it's all gonna be, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but I think it could be that the jobs and things that I'll be doing and the places that I'll be living in are just gonna be like odd, things. And yeah, it's I do realize it takes some time to go from one thing to another. And when you're changing your life from the ground up, it's a process that takes years, and it's just, that's the way it is. I had to come to accept that.
Before we finish, I met Tamara actually through Couchsurfing because I saw a public travel in Valencia. I just wanted to know your opinion about Couchsurfing, and because I think in your profile you were mentioning that Couchsurfing changed your life. So how did it change your life?
Are you sure you want this to be the last question?
I can switch it to another place in there.
No, I'm joking. But yeah, Couchsurfing I discovered when I was hitchhiking. So on that 4-month journey, we've paid only a single night in Malaga, a hostel, because we didn't plan on coming to Malaga. But we used it for 4 months straight, every single night. Or not every single night, because we did camp for a while. But Couchsurfing has, like, it has such a huge, place in my heart, because so many wonderful people that I've met through this platform. And I hosted a lot of people in my apartment in Serbia. I was hosted by a lot of people everywhere that I went. There are a lot of people that I just met for a coffee. Maybe I didn't stay with them. And for example, this is how we met. You were the first person to ask me to get on a podcast through Couchsurfing. So you see, you could use Couchsurfing for so many things. So yes, it definitely did change my life. And a lot of that generosity that I was talking about while hitchhiking came from the Couchsurfers as well. So they shaped my whole experience of traveling in so many ways.
Okay, now is the last question. Since you like so much talking, and since you have so much experience and vision, and your values are very interesting, are you thinking of starting a podcast? Because this is something where I can definitely see a future for you.
Thank you so much. Really. It is. And I've been thinking about that for a long time, but I wasn't sure, and I'm still not sure, in which language I want to have this podcast in. Because, like I said, I'm Canadian born, and I'm supposed to go back to Canada. And I say that with a bit of reluctance because I don't see myself there. I don't like the weather and everything, but I will go for a while for sure. But then I also don't resonate anymore with my life back in Serbia. Mm-hmm. And for the past almost 4 years, since November, I've not been active on social media. But since my breakdown, I started this Instagram channel or profile, and also a Facebook page where I was sharing a lot of my a lot of what I was going through writing and through videos. So I was recording myself just talking and also writing a lot. I love writing. And a lot of people followed that. Actually, not so many in numbers, but since it was so vulnerable and so deep and so personal and honest, a lot of people who were there were following very... they were very engaged. Yes. So I built this community to really connect again on that deep level, human level. Mm-hmm. and to just be able to openly share and vulnerably share about not so great things in your life. And it's been so healing and such a humbling experience, and I'm very, very grateful for that. And this is one of the reasons why this whole thing about the trauma-informed approach is now so important in my life. And I see so many people struggling, and this is not now a matter of just wanting something better for yourself. It's something that is a necessity for our future, because it's affecting every single part of our lives. The way you work, the way you raise children, the way you sleep, the way you everything, like the way you live. And I do think that the root cause of all of that is our lack of connection between each other and with ourselves. So it starts with talking, with being able to communicate, to share, to even become aware of what's going on inside of you. So definitely my podcast, or whatever it is that I'm going to do in the future, is going to address deeply these issues that are very common for all of us. So we'll see. I don't know which language, when, or where, but it will happen eventually. I also took a break from social media in November. So right now I'm not available anywhere, because again, I had my own phase that I'm going through right now that is asking for me to focus more inwards again and not be so open about everything that is going on in my life. But I'm sure that at some point soon, I think, I will go back to openly sharing and having a podcast.
So I think you have a lot of things to bring to the table to help people, and I can't wait to see that coming up. So yeah, I'm very happy that we had this conversation and that you shared so much of your life, about your experiences. I hope that people will follow carefully your progress. Do you still have your Instagram account open somewhere so that people can keep tab on you?
I do, though it's mostly in Serbian, but you can find me at T Tamara Markovic. If anybody resonates with this, and if you do want to reach out, feel free to connect with me there and to ask me anything, really, or to share your story if you feel called to. So thank you, Thomas, for having me. It was a pleasure. It was my first official podcast, and I'm so happy that it was here in Valencia, and I'm very grateful for this experience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tamara, and see you soon.